What's up, everyone, and welcome to the RRBG podcast. In this episode, I'm talking to the homie, Chef Brian Tsao. He is the owner and founder of Mission Sandwich Social in New York. You can see him on YouTube reacting to reaction videos as Pro Chef React. He's also the guitarist in the band Lost Becomes. We talked a lot about food, as he is a chef for many, many years. He's beaten Bobby Flay on the Food Network. He was on Chopped. We talked about all that experience that he's had. We talked about him opening up his own sandwich shop. We talked about his band, Lost Becomes, putting out new music. We talked about YouTube reaction videos. It was a really fun conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure to follow him at Chef Brian Tsao on most of the things. Check out the band Lost Becomes. It's on Spotify or wherever you get music. Follow the sandwich shop at Mission Sandwich. If you get a chance, check out our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/RRBG to support the podcast. Click down there on the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications. That way you can see when we get new videos out there. And leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps push us up on the algorithm. That way more people can see the show. I appreciate you all, and cheers. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the RRBG podcast. I'm being joined today by Chef Brian Tsao. How are you, brother?
What's up, man? I'm good, and I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for asking me to come on.
Of course, man. We met recently in New York, but I've been following you for a bit, and all my homies. So I've been trying to get you on so we can chat a little bit, because I'm a hungry boy, as you can see. I'm a big hungry boy, and you make delicious looking sandwiches. I haven't had one yet.
You're talking to the right man today, or maybe the wrong man, because I'm on literally the other side of the country.
I know. You gotta open up a mission out here, man. We gotta make that happen.
One day, if everything works out correctly, there will be many missions across the country. But until then, just focusing on the one shop that I just opened up right here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Congratulations on that. For those that are watching and listening, you've been making sandwiches, and you do cool, video content with artists that'll come over, and for a while you were doing that, and then finally now you have opened up your brick and mortar.
Yes. So, I don't make just sandwiches, but, that's kind of the thing I'm known for right now. I opened up a sandwich shop called Mission Sandwich Social, again, right here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And the idea for the shop was birthed out of, number one, my love for sandwiches, but also it was something that I came up with on a random trip to the Bay Area, when a friend of mine took me out for lunch, and I tried this incredible bread called Dutch Crunch, and I was just blown away by it and was wondering why it was not in New York. So it kind of became a mission of mine to bring this style of sandwich and bread to New York. But shortly after that trip, the world shut down, and I was left without a job, without much direction in life. But I was introduced to this thing, call it fate, but I was introduced to this style of sandwich, and I basically spent all of my pandemic staycation working on this sandwich concept, along with getting my good buddies involved, who mostly many of whom are mutual friends between you and I, but also happen to be a lot of metalheads.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too nerdy. People don't. I'm fat and I'm curious. The Dutch Crunch. It looks unique. I've never seen it outside of what you're doing. And tell me what makes it stand out over at say any other regular hoagie bread or anything like that. Like, what's the difference?
Sure. So Dutch Crunch, it's a soft roll that has this wonderful rice flour paste that's brushed on top of it. And when it cooks, it has, number one, a wonderful flavor, a very unique texture. Another name for Dutch Crunch bread is called tiger bread, because it kind of gives you this tiger pattern. But it's just a wonderful, soft roll, but also robust enough to really handle, being stacked and sauced up. And when you toast it, it's one of those breads that just remains nice and soft, but again, robust. And that rice flour paste just gets crispy just enough where it's like it doesn't cut the roof of your mouth, but it's still really pleasurable and gives a little bit of texture contrast to the rest of the bread. It's really wonderful. And again, I've never heard of it outside of the Bay Area, and I don't know why it took so long to come to New York.
That's interesting. Yeah, because that's one of I'm a big sandwich guy. Obviously, carbs, you can see them in my face. But I love sandwiches. To me, it's the perfect food, you know? There's just, you can grab it, eat it wherever you're at, and it has everything inside of it. But one of my biggest complaints that a lot of people get wrong is that it gets soggy. You know, like if you go to like a Jersey Mike's, if you don't eat it right away, by the time you get home, that shit is all covered in, it's all soggy vinegar and oil and whatever else you put on it, you know?
But I also think, sometimes that's part of the experience. Like even some of my sandwiches will get a little soggy, and almost kind of by design, because, the motto I tell to all the staff is big saucy subs. Like sometimes I walk into the store chanting that, get everybody to join me in big saucy subs. Nice. And I do this exact motion too. But I think, for me, just like there's all types of humans out there, it's the same thing with sandwiches. There's all types. So my sandwich happens to be this Bay Area style sandwich, but I love French dips. I love Philly steaks. And, like Philly cheesesteaks, if you get it with Cheese Whiz, are pretty soggy and messy.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Some of the old school Italian, classic Italian heroes, as they would call it, the ones without much sauce or vinegar or extra virgin olive oil that's mainly cold cuts. Those aren't soggy at all. And that's kind of like the opposite of what I produce, but I still love it equally because it's that thing, and
sure,
that's the spice of life, right? Is you have variety and you can choose.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey, so that to me, like the default is the Italian, non-saucy sandwich, hoagie, hero, whatever you want to call it. I still remember Blimpie. I haven't seen one of those in so many years.
God, yeah. It's been a while. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. You are right.
I think they're out of business, right? They got to be gone by now.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. And I do remember having them, and I do remember liking it a lot.
Yeah, they were good. I mean, obviously it's a chain. It wasn't as good as going to like, a mom and pop Italian deli somewhere in New York. But, it got the job done. It was better than Subway, I'll tell you that.
I was just about to say that. I always liked it better than Subway.
Subway to me was always just it was like the IKEA of sandwiches, just gross. Everything was bland and I don't know. So to you, what's the perfect sandwich for you? If you had to choose one that you can only have for the rest of your life, like which one would that be?
Oh man, why'd you have to ask me? Why'd you have to ask me a good question like that, Eddie?
I like putting you under the interrogation light, like my new ring light, which is burning my retinas right now.
Oh man, my favorite sandwich. Not to sound cliche, but this is just truly, truly my honest answer, is a sandwich that we have on the menu at Mission right now called the Post Melon or the Post Melone, which is a play on a classic Italian dish of melon wrapped in prosciutto. So my sandwich uses our Dutch crunch bread, and it has prosciutto, fresh mozzarella, sharp provolone, as well as melon. Gets drizzled with Hot Ones nugget honey, which is a spiced honey. Also gets a dusting of dried oregano, as well as thin sliced tomatoes, arugula, a little dressing of red wine vinegar and extra virgin olive oil. And then it's finished off with an Italian herb style mayo. The Italian herb style mayo has rosemary, thyme, oregano, parsley, pecorino romano, preserved lemon, and lemon zest. And it is like this combination is just harmony. And I'm really glad to see that as of very recently, a lot of people on the internet, on social media, have been replicating it on their own social media after trying it at Mission. So I think that's a testament to how wonderful this combination is.
Hell yeah. So, I mean, again, I'm bummed out that while I was in New York, I wasn't able to have you weren't open yet.
You weren't open yet. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will be back. I will be back in New York soon.
I'm ready for you.
Yeah, I got a free Alaskan flight due to complication. They that same New York trip, my flight got canceled, so I had to stay an extra day, which wasn't bad. I got to spend it with the family and whatnot, but they still gave me a free flight. So I'm like, cool. I'll go back to New York sometime.
Awesome.
Now, one thing that I've noticed, and I promise we'll talk about other things. I just want to get all this. I'm hungry. I haven't had lunch yet, so I want to get all this out of the way. One thing I've noticed when a place opens up, a new spot, usually the food is, if the food's really good in the beginning, but then like a few months later, the quality seems to drop.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is a test? Like, is that because they just realize they're spending too much money on ingredients or something?
It's a combination of many things, but that's like one of what's the term? Like cardinal sins of restaurant opening 101, which is you open up, guns a-blazing, costs are astronomical because everything's happening for the first time. You're purchasing for the first time. You're hiring for the first time. Obviously, if you have a team that's more experienced, then these things are within control. But even for someone like me, everyone I hired are very experienced people, but our labor cost is very high in the beginning, because a lot of people are working overtime. Initially I didn't hire enough people, so I had to, get people on OT. That's just labor costs. But when it comes to food costs or just cost in general, when places open up, they open up with a bang, firing on all cylinders, and then they start to get the bills back. And they start to freak out. Oh my God, like, how are we going to pay this? And we didn't have nearly enough sales to cover these bills. Restaurant business is a very low profit margin. So what happens a lot of the time, and not all the time, but a lot of the time, or some of the time rather, is they'll start using the cheaper meat or the cheaper this or the cheaper that, or they'll simultaneously also cut back on labor. And when you do that, these are all good practices to do, right? Because maybe you don't need to necessarily buy the most expensive ingredient A, B, or C, and you shouldn't be running on an insane amount of overtime. But these things have to happen in balance, and they have to happen so that they don't affect, number one, quality, and number one, service. So what ends up happening to a lot of places is they operate for a few months, they see the bills are getting kind of out of control, they freak out a little bit. Even myself, I'm guilty of that too. You freak out and you start to make cuts, and you make it too dramatic. And again, it affects quality and it affects service. And these things tie into each other, because maybe the food quality didn't suffer as much, but a shitty service experience at a restaurant will definitely degrade the quality. Right.
Yeah. So, once those 1-star reviews start coming in, because somebody said, somebody gave you a little bit of an attitude at the register,
Yeah, so it's very much it's a song and dance, man. There's a lot of things that affect one another, and you can arguably say this is the same for all businesses. However, the food and beverage business is one of the businesses where, like, a lot of people think they're an expert. And everyone has an opinion, because guess what? Everybody eats. Everyone's dined at a restaurant, and to some degree, everyone cooks, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're a good cook or a bad cook is another topic entirely. But people feel a certain sense of ownership when it comes to the food and beverage industry, whether they're in it or not. And sometimes that can be negatively affect both parties.
Sure, absolutely.
Not always,
yeah. So it makes sense to me, man. It's unfortunate, because I was going to ask. The reason I bring it up is because I think about little things. Because I'm not a chef, but I love cooking here at home, and I've worked with a lot of chefs in the past. I work in the industry on the alcohol side of it. So I spend a lot of time meeting with chefs, doing like beer dinners, as they would call them, where we would pair 5-course meals with each individual beer and sit there and work out dishes with the chef and see what pairs well. So I get real nerdy about it at times. I watch all the, Food Network stuff as well. And I wanted to bring up the fact that you beat Bobby Flay many years ago.
Did, yes. Many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
But life-changing day. Was not my first time on a Food Network show, but definitely the best experience I had on a Food Network show.
What was your first time?
Was on Chopped, which I lost terribly. That was the first one, Chopped. I was so mad. I was also, it was my first time on television, so I was very nervous. Also, I was ill prepared. And, mainly.
Well, isn't everyone ill prepared for Chopped?
You know what? You are 100% right. I was unable to handle my nerves. I wasn't able to stay calm. And I was still nervous on Beat Bobby Flay, but having that exposure to what television cooking is and the pressure and the cameras and the lights and the producers and all that stuff was definitely easier to deal with the second time around. So you could say I went in with a little bit of an advantage, but the first time around it was just an absolute nervous wreck.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I watched, I won't say all the episodes of Chopped, but I've watched a lot of them because it reminds me most of college days cooking. Like, what do I got in the pantry? I got this, that, a ball of bubble gum. What am I working with? Make something happen. So I love that idea of it. But you watch the show and you start to get this confidence. I could do that. My wife's like, yeah, you could do that. You're a good cook. I'm like, I cannot do that.
I would say going on to food competition television shows is more about, I would say half the battle is controlling your nerves. If you have a if you're a basic, decent cook, professional level cook, you should be able to crank something out without a problem if you're calm and not nervous about it and think clearly. That's something that I definitely adjusted when I went into Beat Bobby Flay. I knew whatever the first challenge was, because that you get a secret ingredient that you have to make a dish out of, and I forgot what it was, 15, 20 minutes. While I was still nervous, I just picked something and stuck with it and just moved forward for better or worse, because the goal was to finish the dish and have enough time to taste it and make sure that it was on par.
Yeah, man. And on top of the lights and all that, you got him going around kind of peeking and giving you shit. You got the judges giving you shit come on, it's 30 seconds. I would lose. I would throw food at them, Yeah.
And Beat Bobby Flay also, I don't know about now. I don't even know if the show's still on, but Beat Bobby Flay had a live audience. They're watching you. So that was an extra added bit of tension over there. But ultimately, like I said, I learned a lot from my first television appearance, and it led me to victory. Also, I trained for Beat Bobby Flay. I was giving myself mystery baskets, and it was you should have seen, there should have been a Rocky montage.
Yeah. Is there? Have you gone back to cooking TV? Competitive TV?
Not really. I was approached about a few things. I've gotten pretty far in some interview processes for Top Chef. There was a show, I forgot on what network, called Knife Fight that I was supposed to be on, and there was actually I don't know, someone messed up on their end, and I showed up and I wasn't supposed to be there, something like that, and I think it never got renewed, so I never got onto the second season. But I also got pretty far in Food Network Star, but never made it onto any of these shows, which is okay. I no longer really pursue food television. It's not really what I'm looking to get into, or as I get older and have more and more responsibilities, really what I'm saying is more and more bills to pay. And the prospect of spending a day or weeks or months on a television show without any type of compensation just is not appealing to me anymore. If the right opportunity came up, sure. Like I never say no to anything. Well, no, that's not true. I say no to a lot of things, but it's not something I'm like actively pursuing, I guess is that answer.
Yeah, I can imagine it has to be, you have to want to be more of a TV star than a chef. It's more about personality. Like, I feel that they're still great chefs. I'm not knocking anybody that's on TV. They're still great at their job of cooking food, but at the same time, I think it's more about personality and, camera, work and how you present it. And that becomes the thing. You become more of an actor than a chef.
Right. And listen, man, there's a lot of great chefs doing great things on YouTube right now. There are guys who are not quote unquote professional chefs, but I would argue are more knowledgeable than I am. Like Adam Ragusa is a perfect example. Andrew Rea, rather, Binging with Babish. That guy replicates insane dishes that aren't necessarily even really a thing. And so it's really cool to see how the food, TV, or video entertainment space has changed. And like I said, you do not need to be a professional chef. In fact, sometimes professional chefs don't even make good content creators. For me, in all honesty, I started in the food and beverage industry with equal combination of wanting to pursue fame and the whole rock star chef thing, equally as much as I enjoyed cooking. In fact, I would even say that I kind of wanted to pursue the fame part a bit more, the glitz and glamour of it. But as time went on and, reality sets in, stuff like that, and priorities change, and, I've definitely focused more on the culinary part. Well, that's not true. I do YouTube to this day.
Yeah, man, your YouTube channel is pretty successful. Yeah, I see your videos, they're in the double-digit thousands of views and stuff. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. We haven't known each other long enough for me to just call you out. but it's not a knock. I'm not being negative. Your videos are very successful and they're very well produced.
Thanks.
I just personally hate reaction videos. I've said it. I've said it on this podcast, so I feel like if I don't bring it up, I'm going to be a faker, a poser. I hate reaction videos, and you're doing reactions to reactions, which is...
So, okay, listen, there is a story behind this. Of how it's happened, okay? Okay, first of all, before I tell you this story, I'm not doing YouTube to not get views. Right. Point blank honesty, okay? I'm not going to put that much effort into something to have it go nowhere. Right. So... I know exactly what I'm doing, and I also know that it's not very respected. Listen, I hated reaction videos. I thought I hated reaction videos, and this was actually before my channel became what it is now. But for the longest time, man, I've been trying to break into the YouTube space, and I was doing the Sandwich Sunday show where I send a questionnaire to these guys and create them a signature sandwich based on the answers of that questionnaire. And I did that for maybe just under or maybe just over a year straight, consistently every fucking week. And it was a lot of work between sending the questionnaire, getting the answer back, creating the dish, R&Ding the dish, buying the ingredients, setting up the camera, doing the editing, making the assets, it's a lot of work, and it went nowhere. Not nowhere, but I never went beyond 1,000 views, despite some of the big names that I had on my show. And the Christmas season, my entire one Christmas season, I think it was it this past Christmas? Yeah, it was this past Christmas. My whole family got COVID. When I say my whole family, my wife and daughter got COVID. I didn't get COVID. We're all in the same house. I didn't get COVID. And they were, we live in a New York City apartment. So like, I can't leave my camera set up and like bang and, scream, stupid things into the camera while like my daughter's bedroom is literally across from the kitchen. But I also put in all this work into YouTube consistently without missing a week. And I still haven't missed a week since I started seriously doing it at the early stages of the pandemic. So I told myself, like, I still need to put out content. So what the heck am I going to do? And I was just like, for the heck of it, because I was working on this sandwich project, I reacted to a sandwich video. And something very significant happened with this video compared to all my other ones. It only got 200 views when it came out, but I noticed every day it was consistently ticking up, little by little. And that never happened with any of my other videos. My videos would come out if the guests that I featured on that video posted about it, like Jesse Leach, who's a mutual friend of ours, who's a good friend of mine. He posts the hell out of it. And, whenever he's featured in something, it gets a good amount of views, but it would stop at some point. The video would turn stagnant. But with the Reacts videos, it wasn't stagnating. So I was like, interesting. And I was like, let me give this another shot. Let me just take it up a notch. Like, how dumb can I literally said that to myself. Like, how dumb can I make this? So I was like, I remember I don't watch much reaction content until I realized later that I did, but I'll explain that later. But I did watch one Uncle Roger video, and I was saying to myself because I like I said, I thought reaction videos were dumb. But the one Uncle Roger reaction video I watched, I kept finding myself saying, like, Uncle Roger's like shitting on the, whoever he's reacting to for poor technique or poor ingredient choice, but he never explains the why. So I was like, let me explain the why. Let me do this dumb thing and explain the why. So that's exactly what I did. And dude, it just took off. And that the thing I said, let me do the stupidest thing ever, was the video that took off. It is almost at 1 million views today. It still gets views to this day. And you know what? If something works, stick with it, And that's exactly what I did. I get called out on it all the time in the comments section. The YouTube comments section is probably one of the meanest places on earth. But hey, man, like, I know exactly what I'm doing, and like, I agree with you, but at the same time, like, as a chef where my industry got shut down for the most part, I started YouTube at the early phases. Initially it was Twitch, but I started YouTube to diversify my income. And now I have, and, I'm not going to stop because, like, number one, I've come to enjoy it. It's done a lot for my career. I get at least once or twice a week since the shop opened, people coming not just from within New York City, but from out of state, sometimes as far as like Georgia or the West Coast, saying, I'm from here and I am such a fan of your YouTube channel. Like, and I had to visit this shop, so that's awesome. Like, sure, call me like dumb and foolish and weird and dumb, all you want. Like, moments like that where someone says they drove from Georgia to New York to my shop, and I was like you came here for something else, right? They're like, no, like, I can't. Yeah, that was like an isolated case, but regardless, it happened, and it just blows my mind away. So, sometimes when you're doing something right, not everyone's gonna enjoy it and like it, and they don't have to, like.
For sure. No, and look, and like I said in the beginning, I'm not knocking you. You know what you're doing. I know that you know what you're doing. And I know that most of these reaction video people know what they're doing. And to me, if it's working, go for it. I may not watch it, but as long as you're getting views, great. I'm happy for you,
Thank you.
It's the same conversation with like people talking shit about Twitch streamers that do video game stuff and they do stupid, silly faces. I agree. It's dumb. I don't like Asmongold or whatever, but he's got millions of followers, so he obviously knows what he's doing. And we both like music. Same shit with like Nickelback. Yeah, I don't listen to Nickelback. Yeah, I think personally, I'm not a fan of their music, but they keep selling records.
There you go. There you go. They're fucking laughing all the way to the bank. And listen, it's not all about money, but in today's social media era, like it's almost a necessity, man. Like, if anything, the YouTube channels, my YouTube channel started as a sandwich thing, right? And it turned into, by accident, a reaction channel. But for example, I just recently put out an egg fried rice video like a month ago or 2-3 weeks ago. And that video sits at about 60,000 views essentially. I never had a cooking video go beyond 1,000 before that. So the point I'm trying to make is, like, I've now created the demand through my reaction channel for my cooking videos, because I keep talking shit or correcting what I think is wrong with a certain technique or complimenting. And people will tell me all the time, like, what do you know? Like, you're how dare you shit on Gordon Ramsay for whatever? And, and then I'll say, oh, like, I'll make a video. Like, Gordon Ramsay is not the right example, but like, I shit all over Jamie Oliver for his bad egg fried rice. And I would keep saying, like, no, you'll see, I will make an egg fried rice video. I'll show you what I can do. And I did that for like months. I didn't mean for it to go that long, but I created the demand. And when the video finally came out, it performed great for my channel. And that would not have happened if I didn't stick to the Reacts videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Hell yeah, man. And, good on you, man. Good on you. Like, for me too, like, even the podcast, like, when I started doing podcasts before this show became a thing, and it never really had a name or anything. And one of my buddies just gave me, he was like, you're like the rock and roll beer guy. You show up at shows with beer. And I'm like, that is terrible and cheesy and awful, but it might work. And it worked. It ended up working. So, I mean, that you never know, don't knock it until you try something like that. Like, who knows, man? Look at Jackass. How successful is Jackass? It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Example. Great example.
Yeah.
I think, another result, maybe it was always like this, but I feel a result of the social media era is that we're so exposed these days, and like, we're afraid to fuck up, or we're afraid of what people perceive as things. But also, we have the ability to remain anonymous. So, some of the things that I read on on the comment section, I'm like, none of you would dare to fucking say that to me to my face. Right. Like, I'm a 6'1", 265-pound motherfucker. Like, I'll crush you, or most of you. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there bigger than me. That's not the point. I don't want to crush anyone. I don't want any confrontation. I hope I didn't invite that into my life. That wasn't the point. The point I'm making is, like, a lot of people can remain anonymous and talk all kinds of shit that they would never say in public in person. And because if they did, they'd get fucking slapped.
Yep. And most of the time too, if you approach these folks, like, I've noticed that online, like, I've had some people say some bullshit about my videos, and I'll just reply to them like, hey man, what did I do to piss you off? Like, are you okay? Like, just asking them genuinely, like, are you all right? And then they'll usually they'll block me, or they'll respond with like, yeah, I'm sorry, I was having a bad day. They just wanted to, like, get their thing in and, like, piss somebody else off to kind of get that violence out of themselves into someone else. You know?
And you know what? They have they have every right to. Is it frowned upon? Sure. Is it like the right etiquette and manners? Absolutely not. But, like, if you really want to, you can. It's just you have to accept the consequences if you get found out. For me, I just generally choose to ignore it. I see it all the time because I do go through the comments quite often, but I constantly have to remind myself, like, this is, I chose to put myself out there, and I chose to put myself out there on a medium that is,
toxic,
but also kind of dumb, so, I have to be willing to take the good with the bad, and that's just it. That's all it is.
For sure, man. That's you figured it out. I'm still trying to figure it out, because I had, you mentioned something as you were talking about your older videos stagnating and whatnot, and I've found that too. Like, I have some pretty decent sized guests on the show, and I'll look at the numbers, and I kind of get sad. I get bummed out for the guests. Like, you know, you got Peanut from 311 and he's got, you know, 1,000 views. Like, you know, that guy has more fans than that. He deserves more views. And it's not even about me. Like, I don't want the views for me. Right. I want you guys to watch what he's saying.
Right. And, you know, that's where I feel like my training in the food and beverage industry has really helped me on my YouTube channel, is that you're always required, and I think this applies to most businesses, but for the food and beverage industry, you are required to pivot and adjust and, you know, change your game plan according to the needs of the day, right? One day you may be getting in lettuce that's this big, and then the next day it's this fucking big, you know, and you order 12 lettuce, but the lettuce that's this big is not equal to 12 lettuce heads that are this big. So what do you do now? You're constantly adjusting your game plan and figuring out just how do I get the food to the customer on a plate that is to the exact spec that the chef specified. And you have to make it happen, because you can't tell the customer like, oh, the part, you know, like my dad, he's a mechanic. He would tell his customers all the time if he doesn't get to the car that day, oh, the part didn't come in. You know, maybe I'll get it done next week. Like, I can't tell a customer that when they're sitting in the dining room. So I have to figure it out at that moment and whatever it takes. So for me, with my channel, that's kind of more or less what happened, because I started the channel 6 years ago. And originally it was a guitar gear review channel, if you can imagine that. And I noticed it wasn't going anywhere. So I tried this, I tried that. Like, I tried Twitch. Like, I just was constantly evolving and changing and seeing what works, seeing what sticks, observing what successful channels would do. And right now the algorithm likes reaction videos, but that may not be the case forever, which is why I'm slowly, very slowly, but surely setting myself up to do cooking videos, because I'm hoping at some point there'll be enough people who hate me that will want to see me fall on my face trying to make a certain dish. And that's okay. Like, I may not. But again, that's just me trying to stay one step ahead, because I know at some point I'm going to have to pivot and change. It's just inevitable.
Yeah, man, that experience of working in the industry, the service industry, is so important. Like, I've heard people say it before, like, people out here and some of the younger generation, like, you need to go work in the service industry for at least a year or two before you start talking shit about anything, because you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to serve people and to cook for them and prepare things for them, and the way that they treat you. It's insane. Like, I'm very fortunate that I've been able to, you know, put my time into the service industry. And not only that, but, you know, you also put your time in music, touring in a smaller band that's not, you know, you're not traveling in a bus, you know, and people ironing your clothes and stuff like that. You know, you've put in the work. And it's important. It builds character, and it makes you more successful, I believe, in the future for any other endeavor you get into.
1,000%. You know, the service industry, any type of service industry, is very humbling. You know, because not all the time, but many times you're dealing with very entitled people. But it is your job to serve that person, and you may hate their guts at that moment. But if you want to do your job right, you need to serve. You need to serve them, whether it's in back of the house or front of the house or whatever. And I agree with you. I think it should be like, you know how some countries have mandatory military service? I think there should be like mandatory restaurant service, because I think there'll be a lot of very rude awakenings. Mm-hmm.
Mandatory busboy duty at like Fridays. Or you know, or back line. What do they call that? Line cooking at like Chili's or something. You know, it's awful, man. Right. Do you plan on perhaps, you know, once the Mission Sandwich situation takes off and you have multiple locations and whatnot, do you have a goal to open a restaurant?
No, not really. I've done the full service restaurant thing for a long time. It's not really my speed. You know, never say never, but I don't really have any interest in doing it as of now. Maybe sometime in the future, I won't rule it out, but as of now, no real interest in it. I mean, okay. You know, I feel like I get the fulfillment that I need from the style of restaurant that I have now, which, it's a sandwich shop, but it is still, it's a quick service restaurant, I guess you could say, or fast casual restaurant in some ways. But who knows? Maybe I'll need to pivot 10 years from now into a full service restaurant. I don't know.
Make it something unique where you end up like reacting to how they're reacting to your food. You just come out and like, oh, really? Really?
Lights and
too saucy. Well, fuck you. Oh man. I wanted to. The last thing I have about food here is something that it's a debate that I've had with a lot of people. It's a concept that since I moved to LA, I lived many years in Miami, and the other many years of my life in New Jersey, where there is a decent Cuban food selection. New Jersey and Miami. Miami obviously being number one in the States, but the Cuban sandwich is something that LA does not have. There are numerous Cuban restaurants that claim to have a Cuban sandwich, but they do not. There's some that go really extreme. There's a place out here that had a Cuban sandwich with chicken and arugula and multigrain bread, and I almost wanted to just go in there with a bat and destroy their restaurant. But a lot of the places out here that people claim, like Porto's or Versailles or any of these spots, they don't have the bread proper. They don't have the Cuban bread. They have French bread. And then there's this other conversation in Tampa where they say the Cuban sandwich has salami in it. And that's the original Cuban sandwich. And I've had this debate with many, many people. Have you had a proper Miami Cuban sandwich?
So the first answer to that question is no, because I've never been to Miami. That's not true. I've been to Miami. I haven't had a Cubano sandwich in Miami. So I can't claim to be any type of Cuban sandwich connoisseur. I know the basics of it. I even have a version of it on my menu called the Cuban New Yorker. I was very specific not to call it a Cubano.
Thank you.
Because it's not. It's just my take on what I think it would be inside of a sub sandwich. But I find that type of stuff fun, man. Like, I love seeing people duke it out and get like so fucking passionate and pissed off and angry with one another. But no, it should be this way or that way. Pats or Geno's or salami or no salami. Like, I think that's fun. Any Cubano with arugula and whole wheat bread or multi-grain bread is not a Cubano. So I don't know what they're saying. But, again, like, that's kind of like what my YouTube channel is built around is, reacting to Uncle Roger reacting to bullshit. It's clearly wrong. I'm sorry to tell you, you're saying that's egg fried rice. You're saying that's ramen. The stuff I react to, again, is mostly Uncle Roger, so it's going to be mostly Asian. But he gave me an idea. Maybe I need to react to some more sandwich stuff.
So my idea was to start not a reaction page, but I wanted to make like a man on the street type of show where I go to all these LA spots that claim to have Cubans and just rip them to shreds. Just call it the Angry Cuban in LA and just destroy them all, and eventually open up a Angry Cuban in LA shop that you can go get a real Cubano at.
Okay, so I'm going to say I fucking love that idea, and I think you'll get a shit ton of views for it. You'll also get a ton of haters for it. You also better be ready to have some form of protection on you, as well as probably a bodyguard. But I think, you said sometimes you're disappointed by some of the views on your channel. I think that's like a 1 million view idea right there. It's just, do you want to put your life in danger?
Hey, for anybody getting any ideas watching this, I remain strapped. So try me. But for real, I mean, nobody does it right out here, man. And it's embarrassing to me to go to a place. Like, I went to Versailles out here, which is like authentic Cuban. And I asked them for certain things that are just basic. That's something you could get in a window in Miami. I walked in, I'm like, can I get a colada and una tostada? And the lady was like, what's a colada? And I'm like, you need to shut this restaurant down, like right now. What are you talking about? You don't know what a colada is. That's like,
isn't LA like infamous for ruining New York style pizza, so I wouldn't put it too past. And I love LA, but I wouldn't put them too past messing up a Cubano. So
it's so bad. It's so bad. Anyway, and for Tampa people, fuck off with your salami, okay? Get out of here. What are you talking about? Cubans didn't have access to salami.
Oh,
That's an Italian thing. We didn't have that. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. I want to talk to you about music a little bit. Your band, Lost Becomes. You're still doing stuff with the band?
Absolutely. I was about to say I went went dark on them, but that's not true. Like we had a band meeting next week, or I guess you'll be the first to know. We're planning to put out another single very soon, sometime in the last quarter of this year. We're almost done writing the next record. And we hope to have that out sometime by second or third quarter next year. But no, the band is very much alive. I'm very excited for people to hear the new music. I think it's a great evolution. We've made some lineup changes, lineup additions to the band that I think is going to make it better. And yeah, it's still going strong, man. It's just, we're a young band and we're just kind of getting started, but I think we had a strong, start, and we're going to try to keep up with that momentum.
Yeah. And I mean, touching on the going dark thing, like you opened up a business that's, things need to take a little, like, hold on, like, I'll be right back.
Everyone in the band completely understands. Like, I normally steer the ship a lot with the band, but I've definitely like shedded a lot of the responsibility and brought in other bandmates, which has been working out pretty well. Not exactly the way I would do it, but that's okay. Because I'm still very much involved with the music process. And when the time is right, I'll get more involved again. But no, the band is going great, man. We're just focusing on writing right now. Like I said, we're going to put out that single, but really like the focus is on the next record. And we made a conscious decision to really, like I said, focus on it. And because it kind of works out that I'm a bit tied up with something else. So no big shows planned or anything right as of now.
All right. Well, I mean, congratulations. You were recently in Guitar Player magazine as well.
No, well, that was actually from a few years ago.
Okay. I just saw the post.
I did, yeah. It was a Throwback Thursday post that I did, but I was recently featured in Decibel, which was kind of
nice,
mind blowing to me. They did a piece on metal chefs, but yeah, it was. I'll always be involved in the music and metal industry until the day I die, until the day I'm on a walker, because it's just part of my DNA,
For sure. I mean, and like you said, you have a lot of friends in the business as well, and you've worked, making food for them as well, like sandwiches specific. Is that something that, I mean, I know that you said you had a Post Malone, the sandwiches at Mission, like themed after bands and stuff like that?
Not necessarily. It just so happens that, I drew a lot of inspiration from bands and or musicians, and clearly like it's not just metal musicians. I'm a huge fan of Post Malone. I like a wide variety of music. It just, metal hardcore is what I listen to like 90% of the time. But yeah, it's everything on the menu, the design of the shop and everything is like an extension of me. Like when the designer asked me for the shop, asked me what I wanted, I basically told him, like, take St. Vitus Bar in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and take New York urban street culture and put them together and let's see what we get. And that's exactly what the shop looks like today. And I'm very, very proud of it. And like I said, it's just an extension of myself and my interest.
Yeah, your new shirts. I saw the shirts. They look awesome. I need one.
Oh, yeah. Amy, do you mind passing me one of the new shirts? We'll show everybody.
They look great, man. Hopefully you'll sell them online. I'll buy one from you.
Yeah, it's so they're not officially out yet. They're sitting in a box there. I just haven't gotten to it, but I'm going to cover my face for a second. But this is the new merch drop. Very proud of. That's coming very soon. It's unfortunately, Eddie, it's meant to only be a in-store, available in-store. But you know a guy, so
I know a guy. You know what you do? You just make me a sandwich, wrap the shirt Well, wrap it with the shirt and just send me that and overnight it. I'll pay for the shipping.
I got you.
But that's great. No, I love the design, man.
Thank you. Real quick, I just need to give you a heads up. I do need to head out in like latest like another 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, no, we're almost wrapping up here. Okay. We're good. Yeah. I wanted to bring up, you were mentioning that you listen to all this different types of music, but you predominantly like metal. I find myself in the same boat. But one thing I don't know if you've struggled with this, but I hate being, I guess, pigeonholed, typecast, whatever. Everyone sees me as the metalhead. Mm-hmm. You know, but oh, you may not like this, and it's like, why? Why do you assume that? Do you feel that you deal with that a lot? Like people, if you like metal, then that's it. You don't like anything else in everybody else's eyes, you know?
A little bit. I would say I deal more with like, you know, indirect racism more than I do with, you know, my enjoyment of metal music. I get that occasionally, but not so much. Not that I can like really point out. I used to think about that too, because like I consciously used to pursue this metal chef angle and like, how do I bring these two worlds together? And I got to be honest with you, like at just some point, I just stopped caring. And I just was like, I'm just going to do me. And like, I'm going to do things the only way I know how to do them and how I feel is right to me. And when I really embrace that, is when, and even with the Asian thing, you know, like people, I can't tell you how many times, like I'll say, oh, I'm opening a sandwich shop, and they'll be like, Asian sandwiches? Hey, you know, like
banh mi only?
Banh mi? Yeah. Or cow buns? And I'm like, no, like I have some Asian sandwiches, inspired sandwiches, but like, it's not an Asian sandwich shop. So I deal with that all the time. And I know, you know, 9.9% of the time it's completely innocent, and it's, I don't take it offensively at all. I had a buddy with me, a guitar player, singer, and a pretty famous band was with me and witnessed that happen to me. And he got upset for me. And I was like, dude, it's all good. Like I deal with this all the time. I stopped caring about all that stuff. And I just like, if it comes up, I just very calmly and casually say like, no, like it's a sandwich shop inspired by whatever I want it to be. When it comes to my YouTube channel, like I don't make much mention of my interests in metal, but like, you know, the right people will notice that's a Kirk Hammett signature guitar, or like I'll plug my band when we have a new single coming out, and it moves the needle. And for the people who care, really care, and come join the party. And that's all. Like, even if you don't like metal and you want to check it out, hey, like if you want to come join the party and have fun, everyone is welcome, whether you're interested in it or not. And yeah, when I stopped caring is kind of when things started to come together and started to happen. So, and also it's gotten to the point where like, I really don't have the time to care as much, because, like I'm so busy with all the other things that are working out, that, I really just don't have the energy to like even think about it anymore.
It's a good way to look at it, man. I mean, I wish more people looked at it that way. We would have less problems. I've tried to approach that as well. Like I've surrendered to the fact that here in LA, I'm a Mexican. You know, like that's it. And it's just easier for me to get through life pretending to be Mexican here in LA. I get my food faster. My you know. Yeah, because like I can't have. I'm not going to have a discussion about the differences between Cubans and Mexicans. Like I can't get upset about it. There's not enough time in the world. But here, you know, as long as it's not someone just outwardly being violent or aggressive, you know, they're just saying something like, "Oh, you like tacos?" I'm like, "I do actually. I fucking love tacos." So whatever.
Yeah, listen, man. Like one of my best friends on earth, actually, Will Gomez. He's the bass player in Lost Becomes. You know, he's Puerto Rican, and like, if I really want to strike a chord with him, I'll call him Mexican. You know what I mean? And like, you know, unless it's like clearly an attack on me, whatever. You know, it's just I don't have the time for it. And if you ask and want me to specify, I will. But other than that, it's, you know, I just it is what it is, man, and that's all.
If you really want to push his buttons, call him Cuban. There's a little internal
Is
thing
there?
between Puerto Ricans and Cubans because we have the same flag. It's just reversed colors. And we always, I mean, I poke fun at all my Puerto Ricans. Like, you stole our flag. You know, like,
Listen, the same goes with like Chinese and Koreans, or Koreans and Japanese, or Japanese and Chinese. If you call them the wrong type of Asian, they'll get pissed, you know?
yeah, for sure.
And I happen to be 2 out of those 3. So, you know, I've seen it firsthand happen.
Well, brother, thank you so much for joining me today and talking and hanging out. We barely got to hang out in New York, but like we have so many mutual friends. It was inevitable that we connect. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a blast. Like, I wish I didn't have to leave now, but this was fun. I'd love to do it again with you. I love what you do on this podcast, and you see that's my alarm already going off. Sorry. I live by my calendar and my alarm. If you really want to fuck up my day, like just mess with one of those. Please don't do that. Yeah, dude, this was a lot of fun. I mean, the time just flew by, but yeah, thank you again for having me. It was a blast. Love to do it again. So reach out anytime, man. For sure. Plug your stuff, band, restaurant, and YouTube. Yeah. A lot of stuff to plug. Hope you guys don't mind. So first off, follow my sandwich shop on Instagram at Mission Sandwich. Sorry, I did this. I'm so used to doing it on my YouTube channel. I like automatically put my hand up to. It'll be in the description below. Okay, it'll be in the description below. Check out Mission Sandwich on Instagram. You can also follow me at Chef Brian Tsao. Tsao spelled T as in Tom, S-A-O. My band is Lost Becomes. You can listen to us on Spotify, basically anywhere you stream music. And then lastly, my YouTube channel. Look me up at Chef Brian Tsao or Pro Chef Reacts. I react to reaction videos. It's a bit meta and it sounds a bit crazy, but I promise you my focus on doing those types of videos is to tell you the why behind, some of these culinary disasters that I react to. It's a lot of fun. So check it out. Hashtag not your typical chef. Yes. Brian, thank you once again, brother. We'll do this again sometime soon for sure. And hopefully I can get out to New York sooner than later and have some of your delicious food. And we can do a proper Cuban once I'm there. Yes. What I would love for you to make me a Cuban. I love it when someone makes me food. Yeah. My day. All right, brother. Thanks again. Right. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.